The Stoic secret Marcus Aurelius never wrote down. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, ruled an empire teetering on the edge of collapse. For 19 years, he stood against a tide of chaos that would have drowned lesser men. He stared down the devastating Antonine Plague, a pandemic that ripped through the Roman world, killing millions and crippling his army. He spent long, grueling years on the freezing front lines, fighting brutal wars against Germanic tribes. And right in the middle of it all, he was stabbed in the back. His most trusted general, a man he called a friend, Avidius Cassius, declared himself emperor and lit the match of a civil war. We read his private journal, his meditations, and were floored by his resilience, his impossible calm. We study his words on virtue and reason. But what if we've been missing something? The Stoics gave us the intellectual tools, but what was the technique for actually using them when the world is crushing you? What if the secret to his strength was a philosophy so deeply practiced it was never written down? It's a principle so ingrained in the Stoic way of life, they didn't need a name for it. It's a way of being that we can understand with a powerful modern metaphor. The law of the Silent Anvil. The revelation of the law. The great Stoic teachers Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius talked a lot about endurance. They told us what to endure, but they were often light on the mechanics. How exactly does the soul turn pain into strength? The law of the Silent Anvil is a way to understand that mechanic. It's the practice that unlocks the theory. Here's the idea. The Stoic mind isn't a sword that strikes back, and it's not brittle iron that resists until it shatters. It's an anvil. Think about it. A sword meets force with force. It can win, sure, but it can also be parried, dulled, or broken. It burns all its energy in the fight. The average mind is like a piece of iron, just tensing for the blow. It tries to resist, but under enough pressure, it bends. It warps, it shatters. That's the fast track to burnout and bitterness. The anvil, though, has a different kind of strength. It's not aggressive, but it's not just a doormat either. Its power is in its stillness, its density, its simple refusal to be moved. It meets the hammer's blow not with brittle resistance, but with a deep acceptance of the strike. It absorbs the shock, letting the force harmlessly dissipate against its unyielding mass. The anvil doesn't fight the hammer. It endures it. And by doing so, it allows whatever is placed upon it to be shaped and strengthened. This is the secret hiding in plain sight throughout meditations. It's the unspoken technique behind amor fati, not just accepting fate, but becoming the very thing that allows fate's blows to forge something new. It's the engine behind the dichotomy of control. You can't control the hammer, the plague, the betrayal, the chaos, but you can always control the anvil. When Marcus Aurelius was told about Cassius's rebellion, his recorded response wasn't a fit of rage or a call for bloody revenge. He told his troops that his greatest desire was to handle even a civil war with the right principles, hoping to show forgiveness. He wasn't resisting the blow. He was being the anvil, preparing to use the strike to forge a lesson in magnanimity for the whole world. He was living the law. This law isn't a single trick, but a way of life built on 3 pillars. These are the steps we can take to transform our own minds from brittle iron into the silent, unshakable anvil. The first pillar, absorb, don't reflect. The first pillar is to absorb, don't reflect. It's all about that first moment of contact with hardship. When the hammer strikes, our first instinct is to judge it. We call it unfair, cruel, or overwhelming. The second we do that, we're not the anvil anymore. We're reflecting the force back on ourselves, creating a second, internal impact. This is exactly what the Stoics meant when they said the problem isn't the event, but our opinion about the event. As the great Stoic teacher Epictetus said, men are not disturbed by the things that happen, but by their opinion of the things that happen. This is the key. To absorb is to take the hit without that instant layer of judgment. The anvil doesn't call the hammer evil. It just accepts the reality of the strike. Imagine your boss gives you some harsh, unfair criticism. The normal reaction is to reflect. You tense up. Your mind floods with defenses. That's not fair. She has no idea what she's talking about. How dare he? This is you being iron, tensing for the blow. The strike, combined with your resistance, creates stress and internal damage. You carry that anger all day. The hammer struck you once, but your judgments let it strike you 100 more times in your own head. To practice this first pillar, you consciously choose to be the anvil. The criticism comes. You feel that initial sting. The Stoics were human. They knew you'd feel something, but you stop it there. You don't add the second layer of judgment. You don't label it unjust. You just absorb the data. This person said this about my work. You hold it. You let that initial emotional flare die out without throwing more wood on the fire. And don't mistake this for being a doormat. It's a power move. You're creating a space between what happens and how you respond. In that space, you take your power back. Once the energy is gone, you can look at the criticism with a clear head and ask, is there any truth here I can use? If yes, great, I'll use it. If no, I'll discard it. The hammer strike just became a source of information, not a source of suffering. The second pillar, endure with stillness. Once you can absorb a hit without judgment, you're ready for the second pillar. Endure with stillness. This is the art of staying internally calm while the world outside is pure chaos. It's what makes the anvil. The anvil. While the hammer is swinging wildly, making all kinds of noise, the anvil is fundamentally unmoved. Its endurance comes from its quiet, immense stability. This is the Stoic idea of non-reactivity, and it's a form of strength, not weakness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Enduring with stillness means choosing to be the calm center of the storm. Picture dealing with someone who's just losing it. They're angry, irrational, and trying to provoke you. Every instinct is screaming at you to fight back, to correct them, to match their energy. That's the way of the sword and the iron. It's a fight that leaves you drained, even if you win. The anvil's path is to endure with stillness. You listen. You let their storm of words crash against the shore of your silence. You don't give them the reaction they're desperately trying to get. Look, people who are looking for a fight are often just trying to make their own inner chaos feel powerful. By refusing to react, you don't just protect your own peace. You reveal how futile their anger is. Their force, met with your stillness, has nowhere to go and fizzles out. This stillness isn't empty. It's filled with observation. You're observing their state, realizing their anger is theirs, not yours to carry. You're protecting your inner fortress, the citadel, as Epictetus called it. As Seneca said, facing misfortune with resolve is what toughens us. True strength isn't the absence of hardship, but the ability to keep your character through hardship. It's the power of the mountain that stands firm through the worst storms. You anchor yourself in what is truly yours, your response, your integrity, your peace, and become the anvil. The chaos can hit you, but it can't move you. The third pillar, forge character from the blows. The first two pillars change your defense. This third pillar, forge character from the blows, changes the hardship itself. This is where the magic happens. The point of an anvil isn't just to take hits, it's to help create something strong. The hammer's blow, when met by the anvil's stillness, is what shapes the steel. In the same way, the hardships we endure are the very tools that forge our character. This brings one of the most famous Stoic ideas to life, from Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. An obstacle isn't just something to get through. It's the raw material for virtue. Every challenge is a chance to forge something new. An insult forges patience. A betrayal forges forgiveness. A loss forges resilience. The Stoics saw virtue as the only true good. This third pillar is the factory where that good is made. Without the fire and the hammer, our potential just sits there, shapeless. As Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." Think about Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. He was a rich merchant who lost everything in a shipwreck. For most people, that's game over. A crushing hammer blow. But Zeno didn't break. He absorbed it, endured it, and then used it to build a new life. He famously joked about it, saying something along the lines of, "Fortune has driven me to philosophy," or "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered a shipwreck." That one catastrophe became his new beginning, and it changed the course of Western philosophy. The obstacle literally became the way. When you see your struggles through this lens, everything changes. That brutal project at work, it's a forge for your resourcefulness. A tough family situation, it's a forge for your compassion. This isn't about looking for pain. It's about recognizing its power when it finds you, which it will. Most people are made weaker by hardship. They get bitter and fearful. But the person who lives by the anvil's law uses the exact same blow to become stronger, more virtuous, and more resilient. The law of the silent anvil isn't something you just think about. It's something you do every single day. Start with awareness. Notice when you're being brittle iron, when you feel yourself tensing up to fight back. In that moment, make a different choice. Choose to be the anvil. The next time you get hit with a challenge, an insult, a setback, a moment of frustration, don't ask how you can fight it. Ask yourself, how can I be the anvil right now? How can I absorb this, endure it, and use it to forge my character? Let me know in the comments. What's one challenge this week, big or small, that you're going to use as your forge? Conclusion. The world tells us to be either the hammer or the nail. But the deepest Stoic wisdom offers a third path, the path of the anvil. This is the great, unspoken practice of Stoic endurance. Understanding that real power isn't in inflicting force or resisting it, but in the quiet, unshakable mass of a centered soul. So you learn to absorb, don't reflect, taking life's hits without the poison of judgment. Then you endure with stillness, holding your center when the world spins into chaos. And finally, you forge character from the blows, using every single hardship as an opportunity to build a better you. Marcus Aurelius stood at the head of a crumbling empire, facing plague, war, and betrayal. What we read in Meditations is the record of a man not just thinking, but practicing. He was being the anvil. Every day, he prepared himself for the blows to come, not by hardening his heart, but by grounding his soul. He chose to be the unmovable object against which fate could do its work, forging not an empire of stone, but an inner empire of virtue. This path is open to all of us. You don't need to be an emperor. You just need to be a human being facing life. Your office, your home, your relationships. These are the workshops where this is done. Stop being the brittle iron that breaks. Stop being the sword that wears itself out. Choose a greater strength, a quieter power. Choose to be the silent anvil. Absorb the blow. Endure with stillness. And let every hardship you face be the tool that forges you into someone unbreakable.